You're listening to Real Facts on Real Estate with Sean Patrick Maloney.
That sounds good.
Welcome to episode 24, Listing an In-Demand House. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Maloney. Thanks for joining me this week. I know as real estate agents, a lot of us get really excited when we have that listing pop up that's the one that we know is going to bring in the people, it's going to create the business, and it's going to sell right away. The problem is a lot of us make a mistake. We just think, okay, it's going to sell itself, so might as well just do that. And I'm here to tell you today that's a huge mistake because there's so many different reasons. Number one, you're a fiduciary for your clients. You want to get them the most money possible. Getting them the most money possible takes getting the most eyes possible. Then number two is if you think you're just there to sell the one house, you're a fool. This is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime type of opportunity where you can get a ton of leads for people that aren't able to buy that listing but are looking for something just like it, and they're going to be willing to give you their information if you do this right. So if you set this up correctly, you're going to set yourself up to continue to grow and really learn to grow through the snowball effect of having people that are interested in your listing but don't get that exact listing. So let's start off by talking about the most important thing. You're going to want to make sure you market it correctly. So always when you have an in-demand listing coming on, you want to make sure you get the right to be able to market it ahead of time. You really want to run it coming soon. You want to run it for at least a week. You want to run Facebook ads with lead generation. You want to run all your different things like your Facebook event for the actual open house. You want to make sure you're using the MLS for your reverse prospecting. You want to make sure you're reaching out to your existing client base. And then also, if you're smart enough and you're already friends with a lot of Facebook people, you want to make sure that you're reaching out to the other brokers. Sometimes even joining groups like around here locally, we have South Shore's Buyer Bulletin and a whole bunch of other ones like that. So you want to make sure you get it absolutely everywhere and give them a week before, because this is how you're going to generate a lot of leads. Now, a lot of people are going to have to reach out to you directly because at this point, you're only on Zillow coming soon. You're not on the MLS. You have a delayed MLS sheet if you're required to use those, but you have a delayed MLS. You don't actually go on there yet, and that way there, everybody's got to reach out to you. You sit in the power position. When you're in the power position in an in-demand listing, you're going to have the right to ask people for information that they might not naturally want to give you, such as their phone number, their email addresses, and other things like that. A lot of times when we put too much information out there and the whole entire thing is there, nobody actually reaches out to us. So when you're doing the coming soon, you want to make sure you put out a lot of information, but don't put out the entire thing. Put out just enough that people are going to have some questions. Put out just enough pictures that people are going to understand the property, but that they don't know the whole entire property. Make sure that you're going to have a way that they're going to reach out to you. So make sure when you put up this marketing and everything directs back to your own website. Stop directing traffic to all these other websites. Start directing it to your own Facebook and your own website, because that way there you can have some lead traps on your website where people sign up. You can actually watch what the traffic's doing, and you can kind of get an indication of what's going on with the listing. One of the things about having the in-demand listing is the fact that there's going to be a lot of people, but the other thing is it brings in kind of a lot of just gawkers and lookers. And those gawkers and lookers, if you're getting them onto your own website, they might not want that exact property. But once you have a properly built website that shows that you can sell any and all properties, they're going to end up wandering around. And if you're lucky enough, they might end up using your website as a search engine in the future. And they'll keep coming back to there. And then when they're ready to buy, they're going to reach out to you. One of the most important things when you have an in-demand listing is making it available. And one thing that you can do that can kind of basically take away leads from other brokers and agents is to do tons of open houses. If you make not many open houses, then it means all private showings. And when people do a private showing, they know they need a broker. So most often they reach out to their own broker and they set up, okay, I'd like a private showing at this day and time. If you have a ton of open houses, I usually do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on a new one, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday on a new one. That makes it so that nobody needs to reach out to their own broker. They're going to come out. And to be quite honest, a lot of brokers are very lazy at this stage of the game. They're like, oh yeah, just go out and take a look at it. And a lot of times the people don't feel much actual connection to the broker they were working or agent they were working with before. So they'll actually just talk directly with you and you have the chance of getting a double-sided deal. Don't get me wrong. If somebody comes to one of your open houses, do you owe other people in the industry respect? Of course you do. But if the person isn't willing to go out to open houses or isn't willing to do different things with their clients, and the client isn't really happy with them, you're actually not doing them any disservice to take the client and move on with them. It's just that, hey, they're not willing to put in the effort and the client actually wants to talk to somebody else. Sometimes agents and brokers, they kind of get this aggressive feeling of like, that's my client, but yet the client isn't saying the same exact thing as the agent. They're saying, yeah, this person, I actually had one. So let's speak of it as this weekend. I had a person come and they said, yeah, my agent's from far away and she told me to just go out and look by myself and just call her when we're ready to make an offer. What kind of service is that? Do you think those people are really going to call her back? I said to him, I'm like, hey, I show any and all houses, and I just closed one in North Andover, I closed one in Yarmouth, and I closed one deal over in Weymouth. So I'm willing to go anywhere, and I'll drive everywhere for you. We can go and take a look at listings. And like, oh, that sounds great. I wasn't stealing her client. I was just offering what they're actually paying for. Nobody's paying you to just say, hey, go to places. Don't get me wrong. Is it okay to say I can't make it sometimes and have clients go to an open house? Yes, it is. But if they're going to make an offer, are you going to drive down and see the property beforehand, or are you just one of these backseat agents that's going to make an offer based on what your clients saw and absolutely offer no services whatsoever? But I digress. I'll pull back to the subject. So when you have this in-demand listing, you want to have as many open houses as possible. That reason for pulling leads, but the other one is so that people can see it, and also so people can see each other. When people are at an open house versus at a scheduled showing, the scheduled showing, they have the right to privacy and time. When they're at an open house, they feel the competition. When they look around, they see another person, they see a person taking their house. And the funny thing about everybody, no matter who they are, we're all competitive with each other. And we're all thinking, okay, I don't want them to get the house. I'd like to get the house. And sometimes even it makes somebody make an offer that wasn't even planning on it. One of the things that we do commonly at the open house is right next to the listing booklet where they sign in, I actually put blank offer sheets right there, right out on the open, just so that people see it. Okay, there's offer sheets out. Somebody must be making an offer today, which tells them that you better be making an offer or you're not going to be part of this. One of the open house styles that we use a lot for these are commuter open houses. So a lot of times Saturdays and Sundays are great for getting a lot of people in, but not everybody can make it because sometimes their kids play sports or they have to be somewhere, or maybe they even work on the weekend. So don't forget to do some open houses. We actually did one the other day. It was from 6 to 6:30. We put it up an hour and a half before we did it on Zillow and the MLS. And we had 15 different groups of people come through. So definitely don't think that the weekends are the only time. Commuter opens are great, especially if someone wants to come preview for the husband or wife who's busy and they're not sure if they want to waste a weekend day. The person comes to the commuter open, and then you know even better when they show back up to the open house that they're interested because they bring the other half. So whenever you see that, the commuter open sometimes is a great time again for clients to come over, take a look at it, and say to their agent, you better come with me this weekend because we're making an offer on this house. And that actually happened to me as well on this property that I'm currently dealing with, where I had 3 people come without their agent to the commuter open, and on the weekend I saw the agents, and one of them said to me, you'll be hearing from us. So obviously that's a good sign. So I hope to hear from them later on this afternoon, actually. So then finally, you got everything together. You got all the open houses going. The marketing's hitting off right. Everybody's reaching out to you. You had your commuter open. You got your open houses. Now finally, you're starting to get an offer in. That's an important part to think about. You got an offer, and what are you going to do with it? If you have a very popular in-demand listing, you might want to shop it, but you might not want to shop it. And I'll go over that in a future podcast. But overall, you just want to know when and how to call the people. So one of the main things you want to remember is to make sure you're keeping contacts. So often when people have open houses or commuter opens or they deal with different clients, they write everything down on all different pieces of paper, and when they're done, they really don't do anything with it. When you have a really popular listing, you want to make sure that you have all the names and phone numbers consolidated on one list. That way there, when it's time, if you do get an offer and you are going to shop it, you have a lot of people to call. And when you're calling them, you want to make sure you're talking to them in the right way, because you don't want to chase anybody away by any means. And then the next thing is when you actually go to accept the offer, you want to make sure you accept it the proper way. The proper way of accepting an offer has a big thing to do with having a multiple offer or a lot of interest in a property. Far too often does an agent just accept the offer and then not tell anybody else why, how, when, where, any of that information. And then if somebody happens to fall out, they're in the bad seat because they don't actually have the records of who came, and they also didn't treat people with respect to keep them along. And then along after that, it's like if you have that, your client's like, hey, you had all that traffic and you just have no traffic anymore, and it's because you crossed a lot of people and they're really not feeling that good about it. And then when you have a closing on an in-demand listing, that's another time when you can market it pretty heavily. You can actually put up a lot of different ads about the fact that you sold the property, because these are going to be the ones that have great statistics, and the statistics always matter. A lot of people will look up an agent before hiring them, and they'll look at the list price versus sale price ratios. They'll look at like how long it took to get an offer. they'll look at other statistics like that, and these are going to be your ones that, your 7 days or your 5 days or your 1 day on market, 12 offers. So you want to make sure that you're creating infographics or different postings and things that say, 1 day on the market, 12 offers, 3.5% over asking. But remember, wait till closing before you actually announce that. And whenever you go enough over asking, like if you can hit the 5% or above mark, you want to make sure people realize, not only did I sell this person's house, but I basically sold it for free. And what do I mean by that? When you sell a listing and it sells for 5% or more over asking, that means that you took your entire commission and earned it above and beyond the actual sale price of the home, meaning that they netted out the entire amount that you were going to sell for. So using you as an agent cost them nothing. It actually gained them money, because if they had sold it themselves, they may not have got as much money, and you got them the entire price that they were desiring. And ultimately, everybody knows the key to sellers is getting them the most money possible. And everybody knows when it comes to trying to recruit new sellers and trying to get them to be into your client list, it's really, really important for them to know that you're good at your job. And then that's another thing. Make sure you get reviews from these clients. Make sure that they tell the story. When a lot of people get reviews, they have the person just write, "Did a great job, sold my house fast, excellent, I recommend them." Try to have them write more of a Storybook style review where they talk about the exact situations, where they talk about how you dealt with the multiple offers and how you sat them down and talked about it and how you sorted through which one to accept and how you told the people the correct way to keep all these other people on the hook for if the listing doesn't sell, and the importance of keeping the whole client list together and making sure that you guys were working together with everybody, announcing each step of the way to everybody who had reached out before, so that if anything happened, you were ready to go with other people. Just remember, having a popular listing is actually a lot of work, and it's the contrary of what everyone thinks. As I said when I was opening up this podcast, it's far too often that agents get these ones and they're like, "Oh, that's an alley-oop. I'm just going to sit back, throw it on the MLS, and it's going to sell itself." And it's true. Would it sell itself? Quite often, yes. These properties will sell themselves as long as you actually properly price the property. But the reality is you're not doing yourself any service, because, again, if you're not looking for this giant client list that you get off of it, of other sellers and buyers, and then you're not taking advantage of the marketing, which is another piece of marketing. Now that you're closed, you put up the review, you put up the MLS thing, you claim the sale on Zillow, you get all the information. Now you have a marketing campaign to run because you have this whole list of clients. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to reach out to other local owners in the area and say, "I have a whole list of clients that are looking to move into your neighborhood, into your style home. Would you like to sell now if I have somebody that wants your home and we wouldn't even be long on the market?" You'd be shocked, even at the great times, how often people think, "I don't want to list my home because I don't really want to sit on the market forever and I'm not sure how much money I'll get." So when you tell people, "I have a hot client list that are people that are actively ready, they're ready in your neighborhood, they're looking to buy homes, would you like to list now?" Quite often they'll reach out to you to find out if you're actually telling the truth or lying, because unfortunately there's quite a few agents out there that create this I have a list type of marketing campaigns, but they don't actually have a list. But when you have a true list and you can prove it, and you say to them, "How about we do this? How about we start off with a few private showings?" Now you have another great thing. A lot of agents want to throw everything on the MLS because they think it's the best way to sell, but the exclusivity of having off-market listings creates a huge amount of demand. So if you have these people that are kind of tentative, not sure if they really want to do it or not, they're not sure if they want to sell or not, as far as going on to the MLS, have them be an off-market listing. Do an off-market open house. Off-market open houses, again, now we're going to generate another huge client list. So we're continuing to snowball. So like you can see here, it's amazing how quick you can grow when you're actually willing to do the job of being a real estate agent. It's surprising to me every day what people actually think of being a real estate agent. They think it's selling and buying homes, but the reality is we are lead generators, just like every other business in the world. We're looking to generate leads that want to buy the items we have. It's useless to have just a whole bunch of inventory if you don't have people that want to buy it, and it's useless to have a whole bunch of people that are experts at selling real estate, but they don't have any clients. So as a broker or as an agent, it's super important to remember the most important thing of every single day is what are you doing to generate new leads, how are you growing your business, and what can you do to do better. And these in-demand listings and these off-market listings and these private open houses, there's no better way to grow your business than to get these properties and to maximize the entire process. So make sure whenever you get an in-demand listing, you do this. Make sure to listen to next week's podcast where we're going to go over multiple offers and proper acceptance. A few episodes back, we did one on writing an offer to get accepted in multiple offers, but this time we're going to do it from the opposite direction and talk about when you have a listing and you have multiple offers, how to choose them, how to go through the process of actually dealing with it, and then how to keep everyone else on the hook the whole time in case anything, God forbid, does go wrong during the deal, to make sure that you're not there telling your sellers you went from multiple offers to an expired listing because you didn't do your job. Thanks for listening this week. I look forward to talking to you next week. If you have any ideas for the podcast, feel free to reach out to me direct, message me, PM me, DM me, whatever works best. Make sure to follow us, and I'll talk to you next week.